I just joined the group last year during the mini S4, and I'm a postdoc here at the University of São Paulo, and well, welcome.
Hello everyone, I am Nela. I graduated at the Community University in Slovakia. Now I'm working at the Hydrometeorological Institute, and I've been also part of the original committee with Marcela, Elizabeth, and Julia.
So long that she graduated.
And hi everyone, my name is Marit. I'm Norwegian and I'm on my second year of my PhD at the University of Bergen in Norway. And I joined last year after the mini S4 in Spike.
Hi everyone, I'm Ben. I'm a fourth year PhD student at MIT with Oceanographic Joint Program in the United States. This is my first time organizing S4. I attended mini S4 last year and I went to CARE 9 after. Yeah.
And we have also Kala, who couldn't be here. She is from Australia. And yeah, we miss her very much.
Yes, it's a shame she couldn't come. So I'm just gonna quickly go over our sponsors because that was a really high achievement for us. So 85% of all fundraising that we have for this event was granted from Brazilian resources. These are the three ones on the top. So the first one, SECAV, the National Research Center for Cave Conservation. So the money that, like almost 80% of the money that we got was from this center where the money comes from when a mining company needs to destroy a karstic area. They have to compensate it somehow. They compensate it in several ways. And one of the ways they have to provide some funding for events and educational events that happen regarding karst. So we got this funding because we are a big research area, and also FAPESC, which is the biggest funding for science in the state of São Paulo, and also potentially Brazil. And also the Geosciences Institute, that they provided all the infrastructure, all the media and everything, and we are really grateful for them. But also Pyre Create really helped us as well a lot with funding, and also Pages helped a lot of the students to get here. And just a few statistics, just so you can see how global we are. We are 25 nationalities. We come from all over the world, and gender-wise, we did pretty good as well. We are 50-50 people, so that's really amazing. I was going to say something else, I forgot.
60 people.
So we are a little bit over 60 participants. Just so you know how big the event is, we're a little bit around 60 participants and 15 experts plus us. So we are a big group. Yeah. Well, the schedule, you have it everywhere, so take a look. We also have it outside. We have it in a few places and in the info packet. And the field trip, we are very excited for it as well. It's going to be in Petar, the Alto Ribeira Touristic State Park, as you know. We're going to give the schedule along the week for the field trip, so don't worry, we're going to give it to you in advance. So just some orientation, the coffee breaks, we're going to be in the room behind us. So after you leave, it's just the room right behind us. The lunch is going to be at Sweden restaurant, and we're going to walk there over as a group. And there we're going to get the meal tickets. It's a buffet, you can choose your own food. So feel free, you can grab as much as you want. But be careful, because you have to be awake for the afternoon, okay? The poster sessions will be on the ground floor next to the dinosaur. And a few people that printed their posters with us, we're gonna hang it up for you. If you brought your own poster, you can just hang on. We're gonna hang it up later. We're gonna talk to you. So for the experts, we have a separate room if you need to do some work or have some meetings. It's the room A5, which is on the first floor. So right here on the other side of the corridor. It's also with the S4 logo if you need to find it. But if you don't find it, just ask us and we'll show you. So yeah, and then on Tuesday it changes the room. It's on the bottom floor room, but also ask us and we can direct you there. So a few other reminders. We're gonna have a poster competition. So a few experts will come by to chat with you about your poster, and there's gonna be a winner, a prize for the winner. Yeah, so, but relax. No pressure, no pressure. It's gonna be fine. And just so you know, most talks will be recorded and posted on the S4 YouTube channel. So all this setup, the talks will be recorded. So if you miss something during the lectures, you can just go back there in a few days and you're gonna have it. So don't worry if you miss something. Also, the bus from the institute to the hotel will leave around 6. So as soon as we finish, we try to already go straight to the bus. And also the petrography and time serial analysis workshops, they're already in the info packet. The groups are already in the info packet, but that's not relevant until tomorrow. So
I think that's it.
yeah.
Oh no.
Oh. And also we had a competition for the logo this year, and the winner is Dildi. So congratulations, Dildi. I'm sorry it doesn't look so nice here, but you have it on the stickers, you have it everywhere. Yes, congratulations, Dildi.
Stand up.
Stand up, Dildi. Yes. Yeah, so you have it everywhere.
I double live it. There's definitely another slide. Okay. This is the last one.
Yeah, so last one, communication. So if you haven't joined the WhatsApp group yet, there's the link in the information packet. Yeah, we're gonna text there, maybe a few informations, but we're also sending still via email. If you need Wi-Fi, we set up a Wi-Fi just for the event. It's called Speleothem Science. There's no password required. You just click and you're connected. And also remember to follow us on Twitter or X, I don't know, and Instagram, please. And use the hashtag S42023. I think that's it, and I hope you enjoy, have a great time. And okay, let's start.
Good morning, everybody. Bom dia. Welcome to Brazil.
I'll introduce you. Sorry.
Oh, I mean,
Sorry.
I'm introducing myself.
No, it's all good. If I do a bad job, you can just add information that I missed.
So yes, welcome to Brazil, and thank you so much, Marcela, and the S4 committee members for organizing this great event. And I hope you enjoy your experience here at University of São Paulo and also in the Petar Archives. Okay.
Great. So our first speaker today is going to be Francisco Cruz, and I think many people here know him as Chico Bill. Chico has a doctorate in isotope geochemistry from the University of São Paulo and is currently a professor here at the Institute. He's been a pioneer in the speleoscience in Brazil, so I think he's one of the foundational people to work on speleothems here. And today he's going to be giving our opening lecture that's going to be 30 to 40 minutes that will provide an overview of speleothem research in South America. So take it away.
Okay, thank you so much for the introductions. And yeah, this is a picture of Caverna do Diabo, or Tapagem Cave. I'm going to be visiting it. And today we'll be talking about paleocultivation part in South America and tell the story how this kind of research started here at University of São Paulo. And I acknowledge the funding by Create FAPESP that has been funded our work during the last 5 years. And I'm doing that together with Professor Matias Vui, who is funded from the NSF. And the outline of my talk is talking about the speleothem research in South America, how it started. Of course, precipitation pattern during the last Pleistocene, and talking about orbital forcing and millennial events, and going into multi-decadal variability. And also some implications of our work for the biologists, for the archaeologists, make this interdisciplinary link between the Speleothem research and other areas of science. And also can highlight this. Okay, today we have a good number of students not working on Speleothems and also in paleoclimate using other fields like dendrochronology. But yeah, that's today. But the first work was done here by myself like 20 years ago. And that was the starting point. Yeah, that's the starting point. Yes. My main motivation is because I was a caver. That was 1987. I was 16 years old. And yes, that's me here, very young. And the reason I came to São Paulo is because of Ivo Carman. Ivo was I think the only professor here in Brazil who has started the work on caves. And yeah, he was the first one to tell me, Chico, go to the Speleothems. That was in year 1999. Okay, so I started doing my PhD with him. And after graduate here, I finished my PhD, I went to University of Massachusetts, and I had some work with Stephen Burns, who helped making this science research like brother. And I acknowledge the funding by FAPESP and the support by the Geoscience Institute. Because of that, you have some labs here. For example, the stable isotopes labs, I have an opportunity to visit our labs here, and also have a very nice collection of Speleothems. I'll talk about that later today. For example, you have now a joint funding between FAPESP Brazil and China, like the Science Foundation in China, and Highway Zhang, Professor Highway Zhang is my PI for the Chinese side, and he's here. And that's okay, talking about Speleothems, you know that one of the main things of Speleothem that it could be absolutely dated by uranium thorium. But here, along those 20 years, you have been producing high-resolution record, well-dated, for like long records, like stable isotopes for long record, and also for Speleothems from different countries, not only Brazil, but you have samples from almost all countries in South America. And yeah, you also make this correlation between Speleothems, not only between caves in South America, but also with pollen records and things. You see that it's very important to make this correlation with also marine records and climate models. Yeah, this is one good example of very fast growth Speleothems and well-banding. Listed by Valdino Velo, for example. Yeah, it's very important to have the support of the caving groups. Because of them, you could go to many places. I'm glad I have a lot of friends, and they called me, Chico, I have somebody for you. So they send me a picture of a cave, and some caves in Brazil, they have a name, Chico's Paradise. It's like they send me a picture and invite me to go there. So they are my friends from my hometown. My hometown is 3,000 kilometers from here. But yeah. I'm also glad to have very nice collaborators. For example, Abidal Sifedin and Jean Guyot, they work for the French IRD. And because of them, I could go to places like Peru, Bolivia, and Colombia. Okay. Also because Augusto for me is the most experienced caver in Brazil, and because of him, I was in place that was discovered by him first, and Professor Haishenk, for example, and also Larry Edwards. You have a good, very strong support by them, and you dated many Speleothems because of the support from them. Okay, so this is the map of the cave. You have well-dated Speleothems now. Of course, there is a lot of ongoing work, but you have some work done during the last 20 years. And those have some sometimes fast growth Speleothems, for example, but here close to São Paulo State, you have Caverna do Diabo has a very long record and continuous record. So we have different sites with different Speleothems characteristics. Yeah, Professor Ivo Karma and me, here in Brazil, have to have a permission to collect samples, okay? And for example, if you are a foreigner, you are not allowed to take it. But if you have collaborations in institutions here in Brazil or with researchers, you can go with them, with those experts and collect samples in collaboration. Yeah, the caves are very beautiful in Brazil and very well ornamented. With Speleothems, no problem with that, and easy to access. This is the problem, because many caves in Brazil are vandalized. So probably you have one of the largest collection of Speleothems in the world because of that. Because I went to the cave and I went there with highway. I remember that very well. Very big Speleothems just lying on the floor, totally broken. So you're going to be having an opportunity to see this collection. Julio is working with the sample now, okay? The sample was broken by a tourist that was in during the 80s. There's a picture, it's from 1975. Thank you for Bojani for giving me this picture. Yes, he doesn't remember that, but it is 300,000 years Speleothem. Okay, the top is about 70,000, isn't it, Julio?
Yes, 70.
Okay. So in Santana Cave is very beautiful, has such nice. Probably this is the only cave in the world who has that has a baseboard made of Speleothems. That some tourist occupations in some caves during the 80s was totally a disaster. They tried to cover some things with Speleothem like this, and you could collect like many samples from this cave. And now you are running out of space in the lab because some Speleothems are quite big. Okay, thanks to local guides, for example, Senhor Ramiro in Central Brazil, you could collect water and make monitoring program during a couple of years, okay? And we'll talk about that. For example, because of that, you collect water and you prove that in some place the rainfall amount, for example, the Delta 18 follows the rainfall and the river discharge in some area, but that takes time. That takes time and efforts. Brazil is big, so it's far away. You need to have help from local guides. Yeah, that's Nicholas and his fancy sunglasses. Okay, but Nicholas started monitoring this area since his master's, and he is now a professor. So it has been like 11, 12 years. Okay, very complete. Yeah, that's me. 20 years ago, I did the first monitoring program in water and also cave climate in southern Brazil. Okay, talking about that monitoring, you learned that, for example, here in Santana in Butuvera caves, it's not simply rainfall amount. So this area is impacted by, for example, during the summertime, by the moisture that is transported all the way from Amazon from long distance to here, to São Paulo. You are off the monsoon now. I love this field because it's really sunny, and I hope you enjoy the field trip. Okay, so you have very negative values during the summertime, okay, comparatively to summer to winter precipitation. Sometimes you have cyclones, extratropical cyclones. These cyclones bring moisture from nearby Atlantic Ocean, but the moisture is significantly enriched in comparison with the summer rainfall Delta 18 signature, okay? See that? And for example, in southern Brazil had very bad cyclone 10 days ago, destroyed some cities there. Okay, summer monsoon is, we have been discussing some records because we have continuous records going back to the last glacial period, and you have the monsoon active, you have the warming up of the continent, and you have moisture coming from Atlantic Ocean to the Amazon, and that ignites the monsoon season. And this monsoon season is influencing the climate over the entire South America. Yeah, you also have been used some laser ablation SPMS, for example, not only in oxygen isotopes. Thanks to the collaboration with Juan Pablo Bernal, who is here, many students has been going to Mexico since 10 to 15 years ago, Juan Pablo, I don't know. 15, yes. So, and you are improving the resolution a lot using the laser ablation SPMS. So it's one expedition in Colombia. It was me, Nicolas, Juan Pablo, okay. Yeah, going to Peru is very important because in the Brazilian Amazon there's no many caves, but in the Andes foothills there is a lot of caves, and some caves are really nice and have long records as well. This is, I think, a very important paper because it has the longest so far. Now we have more than that, but you could also make this correlation between Amazon, Peruvian Amazon, with southern Brazil, for example. You could prove that the moisture coming from Amazon is impacted positively the rainfall here in southern Brazil. So you could make a more broader geographic area comparison. Okay. Is there something? Where you? Yes. But now you are extending those records. This is still unpublished, and but this record is not updated. It's like can go to 65,000 years, 50,000 years. Okay, continuous record. That would be amazing record to compare, for example, with the Chinese long record and do some interhemispheric correlation. But maybe in Australia or in China, there's some record that goes over 1 million years. And you have this possibility to do here in Tapajan Cave. There you could find Speleothem that are older than 1 million years, and you hope you could do some research in the future, focus on granulate. Okay, in northeastern Brazil, you could get some Speleothems. This is a semi-arid area, and most of the Speleothems stopped growing in 4,000 years. Okay, and this region has become like semi-arid, and the results you got here shows an antiphased pattern of the precipitation from this area here with the rest of South America. Okay, during the monsoon time, for example, this area is very good to go to the beach. Okay, so you can go there, have a nice vacation. Meanwhile, the rest of Brazil is really wet. So that's happened also in the past, and yeah, the reason for that is probably one of the reasons for that is probably the monsoon circulation. You have upper level circulation starting here in Amazon, so you have a subsidence here in northeastern Brazil, impacting negatively. When this monsoon is very strong, you have less precipitation in northeastern Brazil, and that is forced by insolation during the glacial period. Okay. Yeah, Matthias, he was my office mate at UMass, and I showed him this record for the first time, and he brought this plot to me. And I asked him, Matthias, why you haven't published it yet? Because I had no confirmation at that time that this relationship would be true. So it's nice to have Speleothems in model comparison because you learn a lot from models, but you can also test the model performance to see if they are behaving well. So this model coupled with delta 18 is confirmed, for example, for the 6K that you have wetter climate in northeastern Brazil while the monsoon area is drier. So we have this relationship with the Amazon. It's very important for the biologists because the biologists thinking about biodiversity, biogeography, they think that because of the glacial period, the glacial period was dry for them, and that's created islands of the forest that did some vicariance. And you have me discussed that. For example, in this Nature paper by Shanfang Wang, he could prove that this Amazon was dry, but Amazon was dry just in part of the Amazon, on the east side, because previously with the high chain paper, you could say that over the Andes, over the western South America, the climate situation was contrary. So you have this kind of antiphased, yes, the antiphased pattern that involve western and eastern Amazon, and that's when Hai Sheng found that, he said, "Oh, Chico, we have a precipitation dipole in Amazon." And I could talk with Hai, say, "No, Hai, it's not only in Amazon, it's the entire continent." So, and I also suggested Hai, let's ask for the biologists what is the importance of this pattern. So, yes, Hai told me, "Oh, invite the biologists." So I invited Professor Camila Ribas. She works with birds, okay, and she tested that. For example, during this last 4,000 years, because of the climate was wetter in the western side of the South America, we had these forest connections, and the dispersion of the fauna and flora was doing this, taking this western side. But for the mid and early Holocene, this connection was favorably through eastern Brazil, northeastern Brazil, and eastern Amazon. And that makes sense for the birds. When genetically, when it takes a bird for the experiments, genetic experiments, the affinity is much higher between southern Brazil and western South America. The contrary is valid for northeastern Brazil and eastern Amazon in South America. Okay, so you have this pattern be tested by the biologists. It's also very important that you have the expansion of the Amazon in the western South America, proved by palynologists. You have advance of the flora, Amazon, and in northeast Brazil was the opposite. You have the expansion of the dry forest during the 4,000 years. So you have this interaction with the palynologists and with the biologists, which is very important for the Speleothem science. Okay, this is work by Gisele Utida, should be explaining the details, but it also has been used as, for example, strontium isotopes to track and delta 13. For example, here in northeastern Brazil, we have some soil here, but most of the soil was eroded. What is the soil? Here is Gisele Utida. Yes, this is a karst pavement, like in northeastern Brazil, and you don't see soil. But when you go to Gisele, she was digging guano and classic sediments, and the soil is eroded and transported to the gallery. The galleries get clogged with guano and sediments, and she could prove that the sediment was mainly eroded because of the strontium signature during the last 4,000 years. Okay, yeah, this is the scenario for early to mid Holocene. This region was never Amazon, but it was much wet than today, and this is the scenario for the last 4,000 years when we have no river flow in the caves, and also the sediments are clogging the passages. Well, now going to the millennium events, you have this work done in several areas. But the work started in Toca da Boa Vista. Yeah, this Toca da Boa Vista is the largest cave in South America. It's about 115 kilometers long maze, like a maze cave, not amazing and maze cave. Okay. And there was, because of Augusto Aula, he brought the sample to Shanfang Wang. Shanfang never been in this cave, but Highway was there. Okay, so Highway is also doing a work on Toca da Boa Vista, or TBV. Yes. Yeah, this area is kind of dry today, so you have a semi-arid region. This is probably the driest area in Brazil. And yeah, the Speleothem grows in pulses, okay? So we have 1,000 years of Speleothem growth and nothing else after 20,000. Long hiatus, just long hiatus. And during this time here, you have formation of Speleothem, you have fossils of leaves. Those leaves are not from dry forest. Those leaves are from rainforest, from Amazon species, from Atlantic rainforest, in the middle of the dry forest. And what happened? What happened is, during the growth phase, you have very wet climate in northeastern Brazil, which is correlated with the dry climate in China, cooler sea surface temperature in the Atlantic Ocean, and cooler climate in the Greenland. Okay, so you have that connection because of the Heinrich event. So the Heinrich event was firstly studied by Wang in this very kind of old but very important paper. Okay, so now you are in a situation of making details about those events. For example, Nicholas Strix, he found a very good correlation between those very negative values of delta 18 with iceberg discharge in the North Atlantic during this Heinrich event. Because of the cooling conditions, you have wet climate in South America, especially in Brazil. He could go into details in all those Heinrich events and to make this link, not only with the cooling, but with the iceberg, not only with the sea surface temperature, but with the iceberg discharge, the freshwater pulses in the Atlantic Ocean. Okay, so later on I could, you have some work with palynologists that during the Heinrich event you have overspread expansion of montane forest. Okay, so you now happen as palynologist. But going more into the last millenniums, I had a very a nice contribution by the work by Valdir Novello. Now, Valdir was the first one who made details about the last millenniums. Okay, there he has more hair than today. Okay, you can see the difference between Valdir along the years. Okay, me too, no? Now some white hairs. So Valdir could do this work using several records from South America, covering the last millennium in high resolution and well dated. Yeah, he found that you have a dipole not only for the last glacial period, but for the last millennium too. For example, during the Little Ice Age, you have antiphasal relationship. You have wet monsoon in São Paulo and dry monsoon in northeastern Brazil. And when you are closer to the South Atlantic convergence zone, the signal is neutral. Okay, yeah, thanks for doing that. And now you are combining those records in a time series analysis. For example, first work was done in 2019. That was a PhD that proved, based on the PCA analysis, that you have antiphasal relationship proved statistically. Okay, for example, for the Little Ice Age. Okay, going into Amazon. Amazon, thanks to the deforestation, some caves are showing up. Okay, I'm sorry for that, but that's the real life here. So this is the degradation of the Amazon because of soybean and cattle farms. But you have been assessed some areas. For example, the first work in Amazon was done by Shanfang Wang in the Virtual in Paraíso cave. But you had some field trips together, me and Augusto and other friends like Lalas. And so you could find other caves, for example, Cuica cave. And also made some field trips with Matias, for example. That was our lunch in the cave. Okay, you have much better food here in São Paulo. Okay? And Marcela could take samples from this cave, Cuica cave, which is in southwest Amazon. And this cave has Speleothems going back the last 3,000 years. You could not find older samples. But Marcela could produce the highest resolution record from the last 3,000 years from this cave and she could also prove that eastern and western Amazon are unphased during the last 2,000 years. Okay, it's very nice work by Marcella. Rebecca Orison, Matthias Rui student, she updated this EOF analysis and PC analysis, and with the record by Marcella, you could see that the cave is not so far apart. Of course, it's far away, but if you see those points here, they are really antiphased between eastern and western South America. And she could also use models to prove that statistically the delta 18 generated by the coupled models with stable isotopes is also showing this antiphasing precipitation, which is not very clear when you see the precipitation maps, okay, and the circulation maps, but they are more clear in the stable isotopes. Okay, you've been also helping archaeologists, for example. This is Amazon, and this is the archaeological findings in black dots here. And the archaeologists, they took all those records, Speleothem records, and they generated some discussion about how culturally the native Brazilians has changed during the last millennia. For example, there's big change in culture in the occupation of Amazon just before the Little Ice Age and after the Little Ice Age. So this record has been important. But now going to the caves in Central Eastern Brazil, you have been doing some work in wise resolution. This work has been led by Nicholas Strix. So you have a karst canyon here with several caves. Those caves are open caves, 200 meters deep, okay, from the surface. And in those caves, which is in Central Brazil, yeah, this is a person here. Okay, you can see the open cave. This is a cave river, and the floods can reach the ceiling sometimes in the past. Yep, see here the ceiling? You have mud, flood mud there. Yeah, see a person here? This is 100 meters tall. Okay, why this red line? This red line is marking trunks. 3 trunks that was brought by big wet events and in this cave. When you go, you see these trunks. Most of the trunks were Little Ice Age, but many of them has 1,000 years old or older, up to 6,000. The trunks are really well preserved, so we have biologists doing a PhD with those trunks dated by C14, and you see that most of these events took place during the Little Ice Age, especially connected with volcanism. Volcanic events, you have big floods associated with that. So, see those tracks here, okay. And also, this area is so nice because you have paintings on the walls of the cave. We have been helped dating those paintings using uranothorium, because those paintings covered by calcite layer, okay, or they are being drawn above. So it could give minimal ages that is about 11,000 years. It's probably one of the oldest paintings found in South America. When you go into details, you see very nice speleothems in this onça. Onça means jaguar, okay, in Portuguese. And there's a house for a jaguar too. You could not see jaguar, but you found nice speleothems, animal bending, and very well dated. So this speleothem has some mud layers, sediment layers, and that allows people like Plinio to use it for paleomagnetism in other people. So you have a collaboration on that, and that records the big events in precipitation that was occurred in the last millennium. Okay, Nicholas is doing a monitoring program there, like also collecting a format calcite periodically. So in this case, you have high degassing and also high evaporation. Okay, and the evaporation has been compared with monitoring stations outside the cave. And you have been found a trend, isotopic trend, that match with high evaporation in this area. Okay, so this trend begins at about 1980, but is going up and up with time. And this trend is correlated also with the low river discharge and lower precipitation. But there's no work so far discussing the importance of the global warming, and it's very important for the Brazilians. Why? Because half of the Brazilians vote in Bolsonaro, and it's like he doesn't believe in that, and maybe his electorate doesn't believe in that too, that global warming is happening, and you have here a possibility to discuss it. That's the scenario for this park, this cave park. During the last decades, you have less and less water coming. Okay, but yeah, I'm not going to details because probably Nicholas will be doing that. Okay, so the contribution we can talking about on the research you have been done here is mainly on the definition of the pattern of the rainfall with different forces. For example, insolation forces, oceanic forces. Okay, I also took the wrong slide. It's in Portuguese, but I can translate that for you. And the identification of abrupt events, for example, millennial events, Heinrich events. Now we are going into details for each event, Heinrich events. The whole of climate forces, for example, for some different areas, you have been working in many areas, so you are in a condition to make this correlation broader geographically. And the contribution for other fields of science fields, for example, interaction with the biologists, interaction with the archaeologists, interaction with the geophysicists. Okay, so that's make this Speleothem research like more important than it is by itself. Also, it's very important to validate the climate models. So nowadays, you cannot start a project without a climate modeler. Okay, I hope the climate model could think the same. Okay, it's like because you need to first take the dynamics from the models to explain the atmospheric circulation in a continental scale, but you need also to validate if the models are realistic or not. Okay, so it's a kind of two ways research doing that, and also to make this assessment about the impact of the global warming is very important. It's another field you are taking now because you are seeing this trend not only in Speleothem but in trees, the delta 18 of the trees and delta 13 of the trees and Speleothem as well. So you have the possibility to contribute to this discussion and to tell people in Brazil that the global warming is really a real problem, and you have to keep the Amazon as intact as possible. Okay. Yeah, and that's all. Thank you so much again for your attention. Okay. Yes. And open
Thank you, Chico, for a great talk. We do have a few minutes for questions. While people are thinking, I have a question. So you presented a lot of great science from South America. What's your
20 years in 20 minutes.
What is your dream sample or scientific question that you want to answer next?
That's a good question. You are thinking about the future, okay? But I think one of the main questions I have is how is the monsoon, for example, during the periods that all that. We don't know what is the impact by the Heinrich events, low insolation, high insolation, phasing in South America on temperature. Okay, you could have a positive and negative or no connection between temperature. Yeah, so don't know that yet. Why? because all this work has been done on Delta 18 and trace elements, and now we have a new technology. You are able to reconstruct fluid temperature based on TAX86, on fluid inclusions, on different methods of fluid inclusion. So my question is, what is the response on temperature? And what you could get that in terms of making the analogy for the global warming. Why? Because you had the last interglacial, was warmer than Holocene, okay? But you don't know what's the temperature, absolute temperature across the continent, okay? Now you have the work by Angela and other people that are going to Germany soon, and I hope this question could be answered in the next years.
Okay, I think we're going to move on to our next speaker, so let's thank Chico again. I think the coffee break will start at 10:30, so you'll have a couple hours. And then